All right, time to start recording. No me hablas, güey. It's a Scott Adams simultaneous sip. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome to the Don't Hold Your Breath podcast. My name is LJ Wiley, and we're going to talk about affecting positive change in your life, how to be patient with the process and yourself, and why it's important to have gratitude for your own imperfections because of all the wonderful things that being flawed forward can do for you and those you care for. Does that make any sense? I think I need better flow in that. Yeah. We're still going to be working on these things for, the foreseeable future until we get more practice. I remember when I started cooking, I roughly remember making this dish at Spice Market one time, and it was like a seared piece of cod with like some guacamole and mango pico de gallo or something. I mean, that's the stupidest fucking dish. And I was so proud of it. And that's like this podcast right now. It's just that's what beginners do. It's what we have to do as beginners. You got to get there by some fucking means, right? I'm gonna give a big shout out to Akira the Dawn. I don't know how this guy came about with this style of music called Meaning Wave. I got a Meaning Wave shirt the other day about reclaiming your mind. It's very important to reclaim your mind. And he's been a great impact on a lot of people. I've told several people about Meaning Wave and introduced people to the wonder that is the wave wonder. I haven't been listening to his live streams enough recently. This guy's keeping me entertained with all the craziness that's going on in politics these days. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the Dive Bar Pundits, Roadhouse Pundits, something like that, podcast with John later on this week. But for today's check-in, this is what we're doing. We're affecting positive change into the world through affecting positive change in your life. This is that Andy Frisella quote. I need to have this fucking Andy Frisella quote somewhere in my office here, because self-improvement, self-mastery, the building of discipline, the building of the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, as Andrew Huberman would tell us, suck it up and carry the fucking boats, as David Goggins would tell us, is the way to affect positive change. You've got to do it yourself first before you can send it out into the world. I mean, I can't make an amazing cod dish before I go through the shit and learn how to make some amateur crap. And you have to push and push and push and push to keep on doing that. You have to be the hero of your own story. Be the hero of your own movie. This is the Joe Rogan Akira the Dawn track featuring Joe Rogan. This is one thing that's on my to-do list today that I've been researching a little bit. I need to research some more about how to be able to play some songs. I'd really love to play some of Akira's songs. This man is a master of his own destiny, so I probably need to reach out to him, talk to him, and see if he would grace me with the opportunity to play some of his tracks on the Don't Hold Your Breath podcast. Now, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm still going to talk about them anyway, because he can't stop me from talking about them, because they're wonderful. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent, but also has to do with affecting positive change. That was the number one thing. So I got this done today. The second thing I mentioned here in this little intro that I wrote, which I'm quite proud of at the moment, is having patience, how to be patient with the process and yourself. So patience and the slow process of growth. I want to talk about that. Consistency is priority number one. I told this already to my man over here. And he's got blood in his teeth. Let me know in the comments if you get the reference. So consistency. Everything should be periwinkle blue. It's funny because I'm pretty sure there's a reference to that in Snatch. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but Periwinkle Blue. Yeah. That's another reason I'd like to know about copyright restrictions and content creation, and how do these people do movie review, and when they do the listening react videos, like how are they playing that song without getting strikes on YouTube because they're playing the song? Anyway, patience and the slow process of growth. Thank you for having patience and listening to me ramble here today. Consistency is priority number one. It's the first thing I wrote. Consistency. It's the first thing. That's why it's priority number one. Number one. I didn't write a number one next to it, but it's just the first thing under patience and the slow process of growth. Maybe I should say that again. Consistency is priority number one. So when you're talking about affecting positive change into the world, right? You want to be the change. Well, you're going to have to fucking change yourself, right? Because if you're sitting there talking about being the change and trying to figure out how to make the world a better place, I mean, even if you already there, you're still not there. I mean, you should have somewhere to get to that you could do better, some things that you could improve, right? So if you want to affect positive changes in the world, you got to do that by affecting positive change into yourself. The only way to create positive change is those little small victories. You've got to have patience. Like today, I didn't do all my shit for sure. Like, okay, yesterday I missed leg day. I probably just ripped it out and threw it away. Utter frustration. God damn it, LJ, why can't you do anything right? Yeah, don't do that. I mean, that's one of my biggest setbacks, has like the negative self-talk type of thing. So don't do that. Have patience. Understand that the process of growth is a slow process. Somebody I'm working with right now, you'll know who you are, hates talking about gardening. But I use the analogy very often that you can't encourage a plant to grow by yanking at its stems and whatnot, because you're just going to end up pulling it out by the root. It's a pretty ridiculous. Anyway, patient, persistent, proactive, the 3 Ps. Patience, persistence, and proactivity. So not being reactive, and not just being positive for the sake of like, oh, it's all going to be great. I mean, you can go and be the happy, positive guy, and it's important to go out and be the optimistic, be the positive guy. But it's also very important to not react. And I think that's kind of, for me, in my journey at least, that's more the essence of positivity. It makes it less fake. I mean, sometimes you have to force yourself to smile, but in general, I think it's better to just take a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach to things when problems arise. Just be positive, patient, persistent, and proactive. Fuck it, add a 4th P. It's, proper planning prevents piss poor performance, right? It's just like fucking PP City. It's not great for the microphone, but everybody was kung fu fighting. I got like all these coffee mugs. Don't talk to me. This is tea. Kung fu fighting with a microphone. I think he's holding a microphone. Maybe he's holding a banana. I don't know. Can't tell. But he has headphones on, so it's cool. I like it. Anyway, patience and the slow process of growth. Don't hold your breath. Keep on breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Sometimes you got to hold your breath. I got here by holding my breath. Thank you to Wim Hof and the holotropic breathing techniques that he has pioneered, perfected. God, can't get around the PP words. So don't hold your breath. Keep on moving. Keep on moving forward. Let that breath flow. Let it affect positive change into the world. So, and then the last thing that I mentioned here in this intro was that it's important to have gratitude for your own imperfections. It is important to have gratitude for your own imperfections. What? I'm not the best communicator. I'm vague. I have, 25 connections going on in my head at the same time, so it's hard to figure out what I'm talking about at any one given time. In the kitchen, as a chef, I had to learn over years to stop overcomplicating my explanations of things. I can go into scientific reasons why this recipe works or doesn't work, or what mistake you're making, and how many times I've just had the deer in headlights look of line cooks looking at me like I'm some just weird freak screaming at them. It's an imperfection. Now, what has that done? I mean, I've become a much better communicator. This is teaching me more about enunciation, I'm applying that standard of perfection that I apply to setting up a kitchen, making a dish. It's all carrying over now into the precision of communication. Nobody wants to sit here and watch a podcast about 1,000 different things going on in LJ's brain. They do want to watch a podcast, and thank you guys for spending the time to watch. They do want to watch a podcast about affecting positive change into the world, having patience with yourself, and about embracing the process of growth, which is a long, arduous process, and about accepting your imperfections and having gratitude for all of the things that can very easily be perceived as negative. Turning that negative into a positive just creates so many opportunities out of one thing that could be paralyzing for a lot of people. The tree. We had a tree fall in the house and we just flipped it. We just flipped that gigantic 90-year-old oak tree that knocked our chimney down into the roof of the living room and destroyed the upstairs bedroom. But we flipped that tree, that big heavy tree, with our brains by reclaiming our minds. Thank you, Akira the Dawn. By bringing positivity, by finding all the positive opportunities in that situation. This studio that you're witnessing here is one of those things. We had to leave the house, so we had to go to a new house. We found a place that had this great built-in shelves and everything. So I have immense gratitude to God for bringing us that opportunity, among others that were tied to that. And every one of your imperfections is like that. Every single one of, when you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you go, this thing on my face bugs me. This aspect of how I deal with people bugs me. This failure of not accomplishing a goal that I wanted to accomplish. Those are all opportunities. Those are all just part of the beauty of God's creation. So accepting those imperfections, and more importantly, being grateful for those imperfections, it's a superpower. And I wrote in here, because of all the wonderful things that being flawed forward can do for you and those you care for. And I still don't know what that means. I just wrote it earlier. I was just kind of sitting there writing and inspired, like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and knock this thing off my to-do list. I start feeling please, Andrew Huberman, tell me what chemical I was just feeling when I got that release of, I don't know, maybe it was serotonin dump that was like, yeah, look, I'm going after a goal. I'm going after a goal. And I'm like making headway in this thing. So it felt good to get to the point where I got some bullet points down, and, I felt some gratitude even for my flaws, because I'm flawed forward. Yeah. Those flaws push you forward. Those flaws can push you through gratitude, and through embracing them and facing them is the way to push you forward, to affect positive change into the world. To, if you consistently do that, be able to find gratitude for the hard stuff, not just the easy stuff. It's easy to wake up in the morning and say, oh, another day. I'm grateful for the breath of life and the sunshine and all that stuff, which is great. But it's easier to be grateful when there's good times. It's easy when there's no real challenge in front of you. But when you hit some wall, when you hit something that's, you're getting in your own way about something, is be grateful for that. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be easy on yourself, but don't abuse yourself, right? Hold yourself to the standard, and know that you can not only uphold that standard, you can reach that standard, you can elevate that standard. And by doing that, by pushing that standard up, Think about Chad right now. You can spread that to the rest of the world. That's what we're trying to do here on the Don't Hold Your Breath podcast. I'm not going to go any further today. That's my check-in for the day. My weight dropped from 247.8 down to 245 even. I had some shit coming out last night. I did not actually do a Wim Hof breathing today. I'm going to try and do that before I go to bed tonight. I did not work out yesterday. Today I did a heavy legs workout. Even going up and down the stairs earlier today was, I'm going to feel it tomorrow. My fasting was between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. So, and what I have, like a steak and, no, I had about 8 ounces of a brisket that I had prepped. So I had the brisket, had 4 eggs and cheese. And I think that was it. And then around 7, when I got back to this place, I had like a half of a brie, about a quarter of a cantaloupe, and a handful of salamis, like little pepperoni type salamis. And I had some peanuts and some dried mangoes and a kombucha. Yeah, that was my intake for today. We'll see what my weight looks like tomorrow. I did about 10 pages of reading. I'll go back and do some stuff about this book, High Road Leadership by John Maxwell. It's a fantastic book. Highly recommend John Maxwell's new book, High Road Leadership. Fantastic book. Video journal, you're watching it. And I did a cold shower at the other place. I got to get some ice and do it in the bathtub. I tried doing an ice bath in the jacuzzi and it just fucking melted. And it was cold. It wasn't like an ice bath cold. It was just like, okay, I'm just getting in like a glass of cold water. So I'll do some ice and maybe I'll film that in the next couple of days here. And thank y'all for watching. This is like podcast number 2 or 3. Day 2 or 3 of recording the video journal, right? 1, 2, 3.